And speaking of firming up critical alliances, we also know the Biden administration has been making a play to improve diplomatic relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Where do we stand, in your view, on that normalization?
Israel, of course, signed normalization agreements with 4 Arab countries, the United States, Morocco, Bahrain, and Sudan in 2020. Probably those agreements would not have been signed without at least some signal of support from Saudi Arabia. It's clear that the new Saudi leadership, the young Saudi leadership, is moving in this direction. The trajectory is clear. They no longer see Israel as an enemy, but rather as a potential partner, really a partner, actually, against common threats like Iran, like the proxy terrorist organizations that Iran sponsors. And they want to do business with Israel. They want to do common security operations and intelligence gathering with Israel, much of that coordinated with the United States under our CENTCOM military leadership in the region. So this is an important opportunity for the Saudis to, in the context of a visit by President Biden, to take a step forward. I don't expect they're going to formally normalize relations with Israel on this visit, but there's discussions around a very significant step forward, perhaps by the Saudi Arabia reclaiming sovereignty over 2 islands in the Red Sea that control the Straits of Tiran, so that Israel would have confidence that it could continue to have freedom of navigation in those waters. And in exchange, Saudi Arabia might allow Israeli aircraft, civilian aircraft, to overfly Saudi territory. Those would be 2 pretty significant steps in the direction of normalization. President Biden and his team have been working on this. They do see this as a U.S. interest to continue to strengthen and coalesce a coalition of like-minded, moderate U.S. partners in the region to support each other, to support each other's security and economic development needs with the U.S. as a partner. So this is a good opportunity to take a step forward there.
It's also really fascinating to kind of listen in to some of your commentary. You're sounding much more optimistic on that pathway to normalization, but I kind of get the sense that we could be a long way off that Bennett-Biden MBS photo op that the administration could perhaps be looking for here. But I digress. On another issue, Ambassador, what we've seen is this evolving political crisis in Israel, and I wanted you to weigh in on this as well. The settlement bill that failed to pass on Monday usually always passes. So do you think the fragile coalition in Israel is on the brink of collapse now? What's happening here?
It's always been a difficult coalition to hold together. This is a very narrow coalition. It had originally a bare majority of 61 seats and 120-seat Knesset. They lost one of those members, so they're really a minority coalition now. It's incredibly diverse, parties from the far left to the far right, and for the first time, an Arab party in the coalition as well. So it was always going to be difficult to hold this coalition together for an extended period of time. And this bill that failed to pass earlier in the week is an example of that. They may have another shot at it, but one of the things that unified this coalition to begin with, the reason they came together, was because they all agreed on one thing, which is they felt that Israel needed some political change. They felt that former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had been in office too long. They all agreed that it was better that Israel take a new direction. And since he is still the opposition leader and the most likely beneficiary of any collapse of the coalition, they may find that they can rally to hang on a bit longer rather than have the coalition fall and have him reap the benefits. But it's going to be hard to sustain. I think they can probably hold on through the Biden visit in mid-July, maybe through the summer. But there's a high likelihood of an election in Israel sometime in the next 6 to 9 months.